I think the preseason poll was probably a good starting point for now. We all know 50 cents, and that'll get you a good cup of coffee somewhere maybe. You got to play the games and see how they go. But obviously Lafayette needs to be picked where they are with the amount of people they have returning from the kind of team they've had. And Arkansas State, I think, deserves to be up there with what they've done. And Joey's done a great job at South Alabama. I think they've got the look of a good football team. Todd's done a great job at Monroe, and and then you got Larry that's always done a great job there. So it's kind of the returners at the top, and then the rest of us filling in, and we're kind of a newbie returner, I guess. So we got in the middle of the pack somewhere. A lot of crummy locker rooms in this league when you go on the road. That wasn't a surprise. I don't think this league gets as much respect as it probably deserves. I haven't been in the SEC and the Big 12. I kind of relate the Sun Belt to like a mini SEC. There are really good defensive linemen in this league, which I think is a quality that the SEC carries very well. With so many Southern teams, that stands up, I think. Good coaches in this league. I think every week they do a good job of getting their teams prepared. It probably, I had played some Sun Belt teams, but I had a little bit of an edge when you're at Alabama or Texas A&M, and not that I didn't respect this league, but I think it's a tough league, and we were the best non-AQ league out there last year, so. You gotta have everything in order to go in this league and play. You got to do a good job of recruiting good athletes, and you got to coach well.
Coach, can you tell us a little bit about the team stands now after the offseason and what you think the strengths and weaknesses are right now?
We had a good spring. We probably had more changes in our program this year than any time since I've arrived. From changes in our offense to a new defensive coordinator in John Thompson, who most of the people in the Sun Belt are familiar with. I got tired of trying to go against him and beat him, so I got him on my side. I like that. John does a great job, and he's a veteran, and did a great job at Arkansas State, so he knows the league very well, and we hired Brad Bedell from Arkansas State. So we've made changes on offense. We've made changes on defense. We did a good job of absorbing a lot of that in spring. We're having a pretty good summer. For us, I always allude to the process that we've gone through. This will be our we get to be in the same conference 2 years in a row now for the first time since I've been here. That's kind of exciting. We kind of know some of the colors and the faces and the names now a little bit that we're going to face. We got bowl eligible last year, and we were one of those teams like many in our league that didn't quite get a game, and I think our players are hungry to try to do a little better so they can get one. And for what we have gone through, it's unique to a lot of people. Appalachian State and Georgia Southern are certainly going through it now and everything. But our first year going back, we were neither fish nor fowl. We were in transition. We were in FCS. We were in FBS. There was no hope for postseason, and that was unusual. The second year we went to the WAC, and our stadium wasn't done. We really didn't have a Division I profile. It was the first time for our guys to play 12 FBS games back-to-back. When the year before we'd played Tech in Wyoming, but that year it was like, whoa, there's another one coming this week, and they had to get used to the change of speed at that level, the change of physicality at that level. Then last year we play in a new league and, get a little bit of a feel for that. So, we're proud of the fact that we got bowl eligible in our second year in FBS football, but we need to keep growing and want to accomplish a little bit more. I think one of the good things for us is we have our quarterback back in Tyler Jones, and he played last year as a true freshman. He some nights kind of flew by the seat of his pants, but he has he has what I call it. You know, he just finds a way to get things done and to move his team, and I think he's a winner. He won a state championship in high school. So that's nice having him back. That's somebody to build around on that side of the ball. And then we have David Mayo and Micah Rackpo here, our two fine linebackers, probably as good in tandem as I've had. And then we have a corner in Craig Mager, who I think is really a good football player. We had a guy named Daryl Morris make it with the 49ers that played corner for us a couple years ago, and Craig certainly is in Daryl's category as a player. So, you know, we're not without question marks, as every team probably has a little bit at this time of the year, though I'm not sure. Lafayette's only question marks may be who they're going to put in the game, because they got a lot back. But we've got a few on defense, and that we lost some guys in D-line and safety that have to step up and come through. And offensively, we have a lot of returners. We have 91 career starts back in the offensive line, it's been a long process to rebuild our offensive line. We've got all of our tight ends back. We've got our running backs back for the most part. We're going to be a little bit new at receiver, but I don't think we're going to drop off there. We weren't very good on offense last year, so we have no way to go but up, but I think we will be better on that side of the football. Well, I think, the only way to address it is twofold, and that is, number one, to recruit. And, we're trying to upgrade our talent on our roster to more FBS level. And then number two, try to be as big and strong as we can get in the off-season program, and then take that into practices, where when you are going to have the opportunity to have a physical practice, you are physical. Sometimes when you're learning new things on offense and defense, mental impedes physical a little bit, and you have to kind of balance that as you make changes on both sides of the ball. But that would be the primary ways, I think.
Coach, one of the new teams in the league is Georgia Southern. What do you know about them? What do you expect when they come to your place this year?
Well, Georgia Southern's been good for a long time, and Willie Fritz does a great job. Willie was at Sam Houston. We played him our first year, and he's an old Pitt State gorilla like me. There aren't many of those out there, but we're proud. And Willie will do a good job there. I think, he's going to make some changes, but they're good changes. And Georgia Southern and Appalachian State and those guys will fit very well into this league. There's some familiarity, I know, for some of them with some of the team. Appalachians played Troy and some of the teams in this league. So how quick they get to the level they want to be remains to be seen, how quick they make the transition. But they're not void of talent. They beat Florida the last game, so they obviously have some players.
Having made that transition yourself, what would you think is going to be the toughest thing for you moving up to this point?
I think the toughest thing is just, when I arrived at Texas State, I thought we played in a 6-foot and under league. We didn't have the size required to play FBS football, and we needed more athletic ability, more speed. And it takes time to continue to upgrade your roster to the level of player that you need to play in this conference and to play FBS football on a week-in, week-out basis.
Coach, talked a little bit about John Thomas earlier. What specifically has he done? How has he made you guys better? Just kind of talk about what he brings to the team.
John has been a coordinator at 3 different SEC schools. He's been a head coach. He did a marvelous job at Arkansas State. I've gone against John. He gives you all kinds of problems to deal with. And then I think the thing that was most impressive to me, he followed a fairly popular guy in Craig Nivar, who was our defensive coordinator with our guys. But it was really fun to watch him in spring practice because our players embraced him very quickly. John has some little magical touch about him that players like his scheme of defense. They really like the way he coaches them. They gravitate to him. It was really, for an old ball coach like me, it was fun to watch him coach his guys and to see them get better as spring practice wore on. Now, we're not where we need to be after 15 practices, but, with John and the water under the bridge he's had, you got a lot of confidence things are going to get worked out and have a chance to be as good as they can be. Well, Georgia Southern and Appalachian State have had good programs, and with good programs are good players and good coaches. So I think their adjustment time is going to be minimal. We have played Idaho and New Mexico State since I've been at Texas State, and I think they'll come in and fit in well. The travel to their places is, for some people, is going to be a little unique. Somebody was talking the other day about we could potentially go to Idaho and to Appalachian State in the same year, and that's a little unusual, but that's okay. We're in a different kind of world in college football today, and I think Doug's going to do a great job at New Mexico State, what I see him doing, and Paul's a good coach at Idaho and doing a good job of rebuilding things. So it's going to make for an interesting league. I don't know if we got enough time to talk about all my opinions on this. I don't have a problem with it really. I guess my question was, well, if they get autonomy to do things, does that mean we get autonomy to do things too? And if we want to grant 5 years of eligibility instead of a redshirt year, can we do that in our 5 conferences, whether they want to or not? Does this street run both ways, or do we just have to kind of sit there and listen to them? That would be something I'm interested in. We all want the betterment of college football and for the student athlete, and we need them to lead the way. There's certainly no doubt about that. We need them to share in leading the way a little bit too, though. And I've been in the BCS, and I've been in the non-BCS, and I think somewhere along the line they need to consider what is also best for all of college football. I don't think that's a new concept. I think we've all had to keep fighting and proving ourselves, and wins like Monroe's against Arkansas and those kind of BCS victories for us are things that put those kind of things to rest. But autonomy hadn't brought that on. I think we're always been fighting for our league to step up and be recognized at the level it needs to be. Well, I don't know if I want to say I'm comfortable. They're pretty good, but I think it is comforting to kind of know where you're going and who you're up against. They're not just numbers and players on film now. You've actually been on the field, and our players were embarrassed with the way they played against Lafayette, and we gave Arkansas State we were 21-21 at half, and kind of Tyler got hurt, and we didn't play very well in the second half to give ourselves a chance. But just those games, I think rest a little anxiety of what's this team going to be like. Not so much for me. I mean, I've coached against Arkansas State before in schools, but maybe for our players, I think it does. It gives them a little better feel for what they're in. This is an imaginative league. You go from pretty, I don't want this to sound like anybody's unsound. They're still sound fundamental football, but you go from the Troy pass offense to, the more physical styles of Lafayette, and each week you're seeing a pretty wide cross-section of offensive and defensive football. I think our coaches recognize a little bit that in order to put their players in competitive situations at the national level, the imagination needs to be there. and they do a good job of that. I think that's one of the strengths of the coaching staffs in this league is that they've looked at this and said, okay, how can we put ourselves in a position to climb to that elite level? And, okay, this is the best way for us to do it. And so, you know, the SEC is starting to go more in that direction with the Malzahns and the freezes and things a little bit. But for years, it was kind of toss it back to the tailback and run downhill and be physical. And now they're broadening their scope a little bit. But this league certainly is broad.